Hello, my name is John Bonjour. I am the writer and artist of the comic book Edge of Bordertown, and worry not, this is cold brew. This is not alcohol. I am not an alcoholic. I am addicted to coffee, but what artist isn't? So I'm coming to you today from my mid-renovation recording corner. I wanted it to look better than it does, but this is what we have right now, and we're just gonna work with it. And I wanted to talk to you about the Kickstarter that I am building. So this is not my first attempt at a Kickstarter, but it is my first attempt at a Kickstarter as a functional adult. So I think it's worth noting, this is the start of the journey. There's going to be several videos kind of like this, but I wanted to talk through what it actually takes to run a Kickstarter. Obviously, because we're in the relatively early phases of it, I don't know if this is going to be a successful Kickstarter. I just don't know. I don't know if the project will fund, because I'm not in the future and I'm in the present, where we all are. I guess you're watching the past, and I don't think we can get into that right now. So what is the Kickstarter that I am doing? I want to fund the physical printing of my comic Edge of Bordertown. Edge of Bordertown is what I'm calling an apocalyptic road trip adventure. It is the story of Kudakan, or Q, an octopus-headed wanderer of a wasteland, searching the probability apocalypse for meaning and purpose and family. And if all that sounds weird to you, good, it's a weird book. I love the project that I've done. I am now 6 chapters fully into the book. It's 278 pages of content now, which is a lot. That's a lot of hours that I've put into this. And before we even get into any of it, you can read it for free, which is kind of another wrinkle to this video. You can read the book entirely for free, and you will always be able to on my website, johnbonart.com. This isn't like a fund my comic thing, necessarily. It's funding the physical printing of the comic, because I love physical media. A lot of other people love physical media. We want to own the projects that we love, and hopefully you love the project enough that you want to own it. I want art and comics to be for everyone. I think it's important, especially, not to get into anything here, but especially right now, I think it is very important that everyone has access to beautiful art, things that they can care about, invest themselves in, and maybe distract from some of the things that are happening in the world right now, and maybe just think about other things for 2.5 business minutes while the world crumbles around them. The point of Edge of Bordertown is that I want comics to be for everyone. I want you specifically to be able to read my comic no matter where you're at financially. If you have internet and if you have even a phone, you can read the comic Edge of Bordertown, and that is important to me. Equally important, maybe not equally, very important to me also, is that we can own things and that we can own media, and physical media is something that I am a huge proponent of. The book itself is going to remain exactly the same, and it is going to be printed as it's presented online with a couple of variations because formatting is hard. Anyway, I'm sort of getting lost in the sauce here. The point of this video is that I wanted to document what it actually takes to make a Kickstarter, and so far, a lot of work. It's way more work than I thought it was going to be. I have run one Kickstarter before in my life, and it was when I was in middle school. My sister and I had a comic book company. I'm going to use both of those in quotes. We had a comic book company. It did not go well. They were not good. And the Kickstarter failed so spectacularly that I literally never considered it until about 3 months ago. It wasn't even an option for me because I was like, no, that'll never happen again because I've suffered such a great shame that I can't return to those grounds. And here we are returning to the grounds, which is kind of scary, I can't lie to you. And I think part of the reason that it didn't work, there's a lot of reasons. One of the reasons that it didn't work is the book wasn't good and I also wouldn't have supported it. Another reason that I think that it didn't work is because we didn't do any of the work that you need to do to make a Kickstarter. I didn't realize that you couldn't, it's not Field of Dreams. It's not if you build it, they will come. You actually have to do it and tell people about it. And even if it is Field of Dreams, you have to build it well. They weren't just making a field. They were building the Field of Dreams. We were building the field of back alleyways. This is not, we didn't do the work that was needed to be done. So what does that work actually entail? Obviously with the caveat that this project has not funded and I don't actually know if this is gonna work or true at all. For me, I had to physically get the thing ready. I had to go through and format the book, which took hours and hours and hours of painstakingly placing pages on an InDesign file, adjusting them so that they fit the metrics that I needed them to fit for the printing company that I'm going through. I'm going to be printing through Kablam because they are, as far as I can tell, the independent comics industry standard for printing. And like I said, it's 278 pages of content, that's not counting covers. I also had to design a cover for this, which is cool. I'm very proud of what I came up with, but it was also a lot of work. And this isn't, by the way, this is not me complaining. This isn't just an accurate representation of what it actually takes to do these things. I think a lot of people make it seem so easy. A lot of people want to make it seem so easy. I think Kickstarter would also like to make it seem easy to do these things, and perhaps it is easy for someone, but for me, all of these things were a lot of work, and that's, again, not me complaining, it's me acknowledging the truth that it takes time and effort to put these things together. After I had assembled the book, I then went on to design a sticker and a postcard, and I'm working on designing a hand-stamped t-shirt, so there's a lot of merchandise designing that goes into this as well, because each Kickstarter, you can run a Kickstarter, from the research that I've done, on one thing and just sell the one thing, and people may or may not buy the one thing. But it seems like it's a lot better if you have some other auxiliary things going on. And also, I like designing stickers. I was a graphic designer for several years. I like the work. I like doing this part of it. So designing a sticker was really fun. Designing the postcard was an absolute blast. All of this has been a lot of fun to try to figure out all the ins and outs and the pricing and and that's the other thing. You have to figure out, before you even build your Kickstarter, you have to figure out what everything is going to cost, what kind of profit margin you want to make, if any. You have to figure out shipping, you have to figure out what it's actually going to cost, because that is different than what you think it probably will cost. I did a lot of speculative budgeting, and it was a complete waste of time. So Past John, don't do all that. Just look it up. Just do the research and figure out what it's going to actually cost to get things printed, because why would you not do that? Before designing the book and all the merchandise, I had to figure out what merch I was going to be doing. I went through a lot of options of what you could possibly do, and I finally figured it out, boiled it down to what I wanted those reward tiers to be, which I will go through sometime eventually. I don't know. This isn't also a promotional video. I'm still trying to figure out what these are. But I figured out what I wanted the reward tiers to be, what kind of items I would need to make those feasible. And then finally, after doing that, designing everything, figuring out all of the like analytical physical components, we were off to the races to build a Kickstarter campaign. So what does it take to actually build a Kickstarter campaign is a completely different story, and surprise, surprise, it's actually a lot of work. It's amazing how much goes into these things, and I did a ton of research on, the Kickstarter, to their benefit, has a lot of resources on where you can learn what makes a good project, what works, what seems to be the things that people grasp onto, what do people connect with, all of those things. They have a lot of resources, which makes sense because they want things to succeed on Kickstarter as well, right? They get money from the successful projects, so they want as many successful projects to be as successful as possible, so they want to inform you and tell you. It's a good system they have going, quite honestly, because creators can get their thing funded, Kickstarter gets their cut of it, and everybody leaves happy as long as things are successful. So they want things to succeed, which is awesome. Literally, after I film this video, I'm going to be filming a quick intro video to Edge of Bordertown to put up on the Kickstarter, because people like to see creators' faces. They like to connect with people, which makes a lot of sense. I like to connect with the people that make the things that I love. So after doing all of that research, and a lot of research on Reddit is an interesting tool, an interesting and semi-helpful tool. It's a lot of people's opinions and anecdotal evidence that can sometimes lead you in the right direction. I also would caution anyone against using forums, Reddit, any of the other forum sites, to be their only source of information, because literally anyone could post literally anything, and it's a lot of times just bad advice. So just, use your discretion, be wise, Past John, as you go through and look at Reddit. It's going to lead you astray sometimes. There's going to be some things on there that are just categorically bad planned. I then went into my Kickstarter account and painstakingly filled out all of the information that they need. I understand that it's important, and I'm glad that they have it, but boy, do I hate filling out paperwork. It's one of my least favorite things in the world, and maybe that's something I can get if I just pay someone to do it, but I'm doing a Kickstarter for a comic book. I don't have money to pay someone to do anything. I haven't been to a dentist in a very long time, because I just don't have that kind of cash. I'm not liquid enough for dentistry. I just chew soft. Once all that information was filled out, I then got into writing the story of the Kickstarter campaign. And that's where the fun work gets to happen. That's where you get to build out your pitch for the campaign. You get to explain all of the details that everybody would need to know. In my case, I got to explain what Edge of Bordertown is. I got to talk about like some challenges that I've faced in making it. I got to discuss whether or not I used AI. Spoiler alert, I definitely did not, because gross. But I got to connect with people. I mean, I know it's not live yet, but I got to go through the process of writing out things that I would connect with and things that I would be excited about. You know, like who will enjoy the comic, who is the comic for, all of these things that you don't often get a place to just put all of that information. I have a lot of thoughts on who the comic is for. I have a lot of thoughts on why I've made the thing. And it's surprisingly hard to give out for free because people just don't have time for stuff. Like, it's a busy world. And so it's exciting to have a place where I get to put all of that information localized in a space where the people who want that information are gonna come see that information. It's, again, this is not, I'm not like, you know, I'm not praising the overlord of Kickstarter here, but it does seem like a pretty substantially good service. It seems like it's just really well thought through and like a successful model. After that, I wrote out my story. I made some banners to kind of go in and spruce it up, make it a little more exciting, make it more visual. I went through and added a bunch of items that can be paired in rewards and tiers and all that kind of stuff. And that's where we're at right now. The things that I have remaining to do, I have ordered a couple of samples of the different physical items, and then I will take pictures of them, put those pictures on the Kickstarter. I will be filming that video where I explain what's going on and what, you know, who I am and all that kind of stuff. And I mean, we're pretty close, and it feels really wild to be pretty close. I have to finalize I've sent it off for a couple of edits, but I have to finalize the printed copy of Edge of Bordertown, and then I think we're good. Which is really, really scary. It's just really scary because now I can do a lot of this for, you know, this before work and kind of live on the dream of what could happen. Now the thing has to happen. It all has to happen, and that's extremely scary. So I guess we're gonna get into my small pitch. Why should you support Edge of Bordertown and support this Kickstarter? Because it's cool. It's a cool thing. I'm not trying to make millions on millions of dollars here. I really am not. I am trying to get to the point where I can feed my family with creative work, because I don't like working regular jobs. I will, because money is also important, but I would love to get to the point where I get to do what I love and be paid enough to support my family on it. I don't need to be famous. I don't need to be huge. None of that matters to me. You know, like there is a cap to how much money I genuinely want or care about. And this Kickstarter is the first step in that process. So for the two reasons that I've displayed for you, one, the book kicks ass and I'm really proud of it. And I hope that you also like it enough that you want it physically on your shelf, because that's pretty rad. And two, because you're supporting a creative and you are supporting a guy who has no affiliation with companies whatsoever. But I am not Amazon. I'm not Disney. I'm not Walmart. I'm not big, large corporate art. I'm John Bonjour in Colorado, just making stuff because I love people and I love art. So that's why you should support Edge of Bordertown. With that out of the way, my upcoming videos, I hope to be kind of documenting this as we go. And hopefully I will be documenting a successful Kickstarter campaign. And then you can go look back on this and be like, wow, what a successful Kickstarter campaign. Here's all the things that I can learn from him. You know, or I'm documenting just another failure in my life, which would also be very exciting and a different kind of content. So as the months go by, it should be, I mean, honestly, I think it's going to go live next month. So as the month go by, we'll see how this goes. And I appreciate you guys being here on this journey with me. If you want to share this video to someone you might care about, or share the Kickstarter campaign if it's already live, that would mean a whole lot to me. Just a whole lot. Just like maybe the most. It would be world changing for me. Thank you for watching this video. It really does genuinely mean a lot to me. And I hope you guys have a really good day. I hope everything in your life calms down, because it doesn't seem like it's doing that, just generally speaking.